It's the Musie and Keza show.
Show.
Dun.
Hey,
A little bit of
what's happening?
fanfare at the end there. Did you like that? Dun. We
Yep.
can't afford real drums, so I've got to do the little tongue roll. You know, I've never really learned how to roll my tongue.
Ah,
Is that? It's. Can you do that?
yeah. Rrr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. I can't do it. Dun.
Well, my
Embarrassing myself.
my heritage is Scottish and they roll their R's a lot.
They
So
do.
I remember when I was a kid, one of my dad's friends said something about, do you remember the show Taggart? It was like
Yes.
one of those who
Yeah.
done it type things. And he always
Yep.
said, Taggart, there's been a murder. And it was just, I made me hysterical every time I said it. And I just love saying that because very rolly. Yeah.
That's very funny. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my goodness gracious. So how have you been, Millsy? What has been going? It's been
Yeah,
a hot minute.
flat
It's been 3 weeks
out,
now, hasn't it?
mate. Yes, my day job is actually incredibly busy at the moment, but that's fine
Hmm.
because I like being busy.
Hmm.
Uh, but what does busyness distract you from?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I
It
did a
does. Yep.
post about this the other day for those
I
that
saw
follow
that.
my socials is if you're a chronic busy person and can never sit still and always what's next, where am I, filling up your calendar all the time,
Hmm.
you're probably avoiding something.
Mm.
So
Yep.
when we sit in silence, that's when we get our messages, our intuitive hits.
Hmm.
Um, and when we're busy, 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 and external forces are constantly on us, it
Hmm.
means we're turning off the internal guidance,
Mm. And that
usually, quite often.
like and it's all well and good to be busy, like if you enjoy it and you
Mm-hmm.
don't see it as a problem,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not putting you into overwhelm, then
Mm-hmm.
knock yourself out. If that's what you want to do, that could be your life's calling, is to be busy,
Yeah.
and that's all good. But if you find yourself whinging about it and complaining about it and feeling really stretched and frazzled from it, then it's a problem, and then we
Yeah.
need to look into why, because we can never coach anyone around anything who doesn't see it as a problem. So
Correct.
it's
If they're not willing to look at the whys, or not even the whys, it's more about realizing that something's not right.
mm,
The awareness, let's put it that way. If
yeah.
it's the awareness, if someone's not prepared to look at the awareness, it's
Mm,
there's
yeah.
not too many places we can take them.
Exactly. Like
Mm.
if their life is starting to feel a bit like a runaway train in which they have got no control over, that's when it becomes a problem, and
Mm.
that's when you come to us, because we can actually. Yeah, I actually coached a client around this a couple of weeks ago. She came to me. She's a Manigen as well, so yeah, lots of Manigen energy is like a little bit more frantic. It's very exciting energy, but it is that little bit more frantic energy. And she was saying, I need help with scheduling. I've got all the schedules under the sun, and I just can't seem to stick to any of it. And yeah, so we spoke about that, and it's like, what does the chaos look like, and what does it feel like? And she said the chaos looked like, yelling at the kids, getting them motivated, getting them to do whatever. And internally, she goes, it just feels jangled and chaotic. And
Mm.
um, and then, yeah, you dive into the questions of what do you get out of the busyness? And then, of course, everyone goes, I don't know, I get nothing out of it, which is
Yeah.
not right. And this is a very good segue into the actual discussion that we're talking about today, which is all about self-sabotage. But
Right.
it's like, well, you must do, and this is the key to self-sabotage. Everything that we do is a strategy, and
Mm-hmm.
we do what we do because we get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we either get to
Which
avoid.
feel which sounds very counterintuitive, right? But there's
Hmm.
definitely stuff going on in this brain soup of ours that leads us to do this, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like, so what does your problem, so this is what we call safe versus risky problems. So what is the safe problem, which is the busyness, allowing you to have, or what is it allowing you to avoid?
Mm-hmm.
And what it will be allowing you to avoid will be the risky problem. So as we dived in deeper, just as a brief insight, this was a whole coaching session that took, 45 minutes or so. What it allowed her to avoid was seeing people. And I was like, oh, okay. Um, Seeing who?
Okay.
And she's like, oh, my mum and kids. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Why would you want to do that? And she's like, well, then they won't realize that I'm a crap mum. And I'm like, oh, whoop, there it is. So
There it
like that
is.
that unworthiness, that I'm not enoughness, and that's what the core of pretty much everything that stuffs us up is all about. It's like, I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. I won't be enough. I'm unlovable. I don't belong. So yeah. So once we got to that, and as soon as the words came out, she's like, I knew, yeah, I knew you'd get
Yep.
me then. So,
Right.
so yeah, and that's the risky problem. That's the problem that you need to face. That's the demon you got to look in the eye and conquer
Yeah.
to get through that busyness. And so then, yeah, then we just sort of, anchored into the worthiness and anchored into that self-forgiveness
Yeah.
as well, around, like, because I said, look, are your kids fit? Yes, they are. Do they get to soccer? Yes, they do. Do they get to school? Yes, they do. Have they got clean clothes? Yes, they do. Then you're doing a fucking good job.
Mm.
Like, are they essentially happy? Yes, you're doing a good job. Like, you're good. You're good, sister. Like, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's about really honing in on what matters as well. So yeah, it's an interesting little dichotomy, is the old self-sabotage. So let's have a talk about, well, let's talk about the, we had someone write in, the fabulous Tonya wrote in a few weeks ago now, and she said thus.
Yes. Thank you, Tonya. Love your support.
Yeah.
So her story idea is, can we do a session on self-sabotage and why we do it and how to overcome it? For example, trying to lose weight but continually reaching for unhealthy snacks, looking
Mhm.
for love but instigating arguments that can lead to breakups, hitting the snooze button instead of getting up to do a workout. She says, sometimes it feels like the universe is trying to say that this is your place in the world and you shouldn't challenge the status quo. This is how the world should view you. Or is it embedded in fear? For example, I'll never eat another pizza if I lose weight. Can't do what I want. I can't do what I want to have to seek another opinion first in a relationship.
Mm.
Mm. So very relatable because
Mm.
I've at one point or another I've done all of those things. I'm
Yep.
regularly a snooze hitter,
Yep.
especially coming into winter, right? My goodness, who wants to get
Yeah.
out of that
Yeah.
cozy warm
Oh,
bed?
yeah,
Oof.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've bought a weight. Well, actually, my husband bought me a weighted vest for Mother's Day because I asked for one, being the old menopause and needing to build up that bone density.
Right.
Still in the box. It's been 3 weeks. I mean, but mind you, I've been quite unwell with a cold for the last
Yes.
2.5 weeks as well. But yeah, it's like, do you, yeah, got to hit that, get that 6 o'clock alarm going and getting out of bed. I'm like, no, I'm not. So yeah, definitely, it's an interesting. Yeah, self-sabotage is something that I didn't really get until like a couple of years ago. So yeah, so it's basically, what have you got any thoughts before I roll in, or
On self-sabotage,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So when it comes to doing something different, when it comes to pushing ourselves, we seek familiarity over um, something new.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when we're unsure or feeling the fear or feeling uncertain or feeling maybe a bit vulnerable,
Hmm.
we will always gravitate back to what we know.
Hmm.
And what we know may not always be what serves us.
Yes. Yeah. It,
So,
it's that whole ego
yes,
part of us needs to keep us safe. Like, our brain's
yeah,
job is to keep us safe, and the way
right,
that it keeps us safe is
is
predictability. If you've done this
yes,
before and you've lived, then if we do it again, You're going to
then
know.
our
And I,
strategy is let's keep living by doing the same thing, right?
exactly. And then I've done my job, and the brain's like, "Yay, go me," because I've kept her alive. But yeah, it keeps
Yeah.
you in this
Because,
prison.
yeah, so neural pathways, the more we do things, the stronger that pathway is. And when we're trying to like get into a new regular habit, just say for example, getting up every day for a 28-day challenge or something, and you know, doing a workout or going for a walk around the block or what have you, that's that neural pathway to do that is not there yet. And strengthening those connections takes a lot of repetition and effort. But
Mhm.
when the neural pathway of hitting the snooze or reaching for the same foods, that's a really strong pathway. So that's
Mm.
why our brain wants us to go what it knows.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
guess that's scientifically that's the reason why we do it. But
yeah.
um,
So think of it as like when it comes to neural pathways, and the pathway that you've walked many, many times before. So think of it like a jungle pathway, right? So this jungle pathway you've walked before, like the grass is all trodden down, all of the overhanging leaves and vines are beaten back. It's very easy to walk down this track. So you're naturally going to want to walk down that track because it's easy, it's safe, you know it, it's predictable. But it's the unknown neural pathway. So then you're looking down another pathway. There's vines all down it, the grass is all over it. You can barely see the track because no one's really walked that track before. And it's hard to walk down that track. Like you've got to get down there with your machete and you've got to hack the leaves and the vines back. And it takes effort and it doesn't come naturally or easily. So it's a little bit harder. But the more you walk
yeah.
that track,
What
the
if there's
more
a
you
tiger waiting right behind that next tree? What if there's a
exactly.
snake about to drop on us? So it's the unknown, right? So
But the more you walk
our
it,
brain doesn't want us to do anything that might put us at risk.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But the more you walk it, the easier it gets. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the visualization I like to put in my mind when
Mm.
it comes to that. So yeah, so when it comes to self-sabotage, I'm going to put two things in front of you, and this is going to be yeah, see which one sits well for you. So, as I said before, everything we do is a strategy. So, even brushing your teeth in the morning is a strategy. Like you do it a certain way because it works for you. So, I would like, get my toothbrush, get my toothpaste, put a little bit on. Then I like to wet it under the tap because I don't like the dry toothpaste on my teeth. And then I brush my teeth a certain way. And then I brush my tongue a certain way. and then and then you rinse and you spit it. And you do it that way because it serves you. And you have found through trial and error that that is the best way to brush your teeth. So everything we do in life is a strategy. And we do what we do because we get something out of it. And it either moves us away from pain or towards pleasure. That's it. And so when you look at it like that, when you were talking about wanting to lose weight but going for the chocolate chip cookies or hitting the snooze button or whatever it is, like you are doing what you're doing because it serves you on some level. And it's because either you are getting some sort of pleasure out of it, or the alternative of doing what it is that you know you should be doing
Mm-hmm.
is more painful. And that might be what you need to dive into.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So, and this is interesting. So, this is where we go into a bit of Bashar. So, I love Bashar, love Bashar. So, if anyone hasn't seen or heard of Bashar, like look him up on YouTube. He's a friggin' legend. He's not of this planet, like literally. he's channeled by this guy Darryl, but like he just like I reckon I probably could have saved 20 grand and not gone to ICI and just listened to Bashar and become a coach, like listening
Yeah,
to
he's pretty
him.
amazing.
He's just incredible. So Bashar has introduced this thing, what is called the motivational mechanism. And this is the basis of all self-sabotage. And I'll give you these notes, Millsy, to put in the show
Yeah.
notes as well.
Yes.
So
I'm
you
jotting it
can
down as we
write them
go.
down.
Yep.
Okay. So the motivational mechanism is very simple and it works every time, no exceptions. So it's
Awesome.
like there's no exceptions. This is how our brains tick. Okay. So what you believe benefits you, you will move towards.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you think is going to benefit you the most, that's what you're going to do. So what you believe does not benefit you, you will move away from.
Mm-hmm. Makes
So, well,
sense.
yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
So if you see that you are choosing things that don't benefit you, that can only mean one thing. So if you're reaching for the cookies instead of the apple, that can only mean one thing because you know the cookie's not going to benefit you as much as what the apple is. But you're
Mm-hmm.
reaching for that cookie for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's only one reason. You have a belief that makes the thing you are choosing seem more beneficial than the alternative, or it makes the alternative seem worse than what you're already doing.
Mm.
So I'll say that again.
Yeah.
You have a belief that makes the thing that you are choosing seem more beneficial than the alternative. So you believe that the cookie is more beneficial than the apple in some way, or it makes the alternative, the apple, seem worse than what you're already doing.
Mm. And I'm
Okay.
guessing a lot of that is in the subconscious level that we have no conscious,
No,
um,
because
like
when you
that.
read,
It doesn't make sense that a cookie would serve us better than an apple.
that's right.
Our conscious brain knows that, but
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably a secondary gain or something along those lines as to
Absolutely.
why the cookie is a safer option. What does it
Mm-hmm.
mean to choose the apple, or
Yeah.
to broaden it to be thinner rather than a bit overweight? What
Exactly.
there's a safety in being a bit overweight, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of invisibility, or
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what it makes people say about you, or
Mm-hmm.
in your opinion, a
Yep.
story that you've made
It
up.
could be any number of
Anything.
things.
Yes.
And you've also got to remember too, like our subconscious is 95% of our
Right.
operating system. So we're fighting 95%. We know logically that yeah, the apple's going to be better, but we that's the 5% going, hey, you know that the apple's better than 95% are like steamrolling that bit because it's like you're not running the show, conscious brain. Okay.
Right.
You have a belief that makes the thing you are choosing seem more beneficial than the alternative, or makes the alternative seem worse than what you're already doing. So
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, if following my passion is going to cause something to happen that is worse than what's happening now, why would I believe that? So let's put it in the framework of the apple and the biscuit. So
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, if eating the apple is going to cause something to happen that is worse than eating the cookie, why would I believe that eating the apple is worse? Mm.
Yeah.
We continue.
Yes.
Because if you do believe eating the apple, something bad will happen by acting on eating the apple. So let me rephrase that. Because if you do believe something bad will happen by eating the apple, you will do everything in your power to avoid eating the apple.
Mm-hmm.
You will avoid it because that's the motivational mechanism at work. So you
Mm-hmm.
believe that eating this apple, something worse is going to happen than eating the cookie.
Mm.
So you need to understand why you would think that to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
you
this is
need
all shadow work, right? So this
this
is
is
all deep,
shadow. Here's
deep
the shadow.
subconscious, which is what
So
a great coach can help you with, right? So
exactly,
yes.
exactly. So when you look around the world and see people doing things you know that they would be passionate about, if they can't do it, oh, sorry, if they can do it, why not you? So if you look around the world and see other people eating apples and being healthy, if they can do it, why not you?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's evidence that you can do this, right? So, what is standing in your way is nothing but what you believe to be true about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the highlighted bit. What is standing in your way is nothing but what you believe to be true about yourself.
Yeah.
So, it's important to examine why you are holding on to those fear based beliefs. When you do, So when you understand why you think the cookie is going to be more beneficial than the apple, what is it about the apple and being healthy that is so scary? What are you afraid will happen if you become a healthier person? That's the question you need to ask yourself. What are you afraid will happen if
Like, will you get,
you do?
as an example, will it bring more attention to you?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you like being small
Mm-hmm.
and unnoticed, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe being healthier or being, a slimmer version of you will get you more attention, and that
Mm-hmm.
scares you. So
That's
therefore, subconsciously, you don't want that to actually happen.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so it's important to examine why you are holding on to those fear-based beliefs. When you do, you'll realize the reasons really don't hold up or make sense.
Mm,
You then you don't hold on to it at all. So once you're like, well, that makes no friggin' sense, or if that actually happens, if I do get fit and healthy and I get more attention, trusting myself to have strong boundaries and knowing that I can handle it, it doesn't make sense for me to stay fat and unhealthy
mm,
for the sake of I don't trust myself to maintain my boundaries or be able to handle it when I know I can handle it because I haven't
mm,
handled 100% of my hardest days. So of course I can handle it.
yeah.
So yeah, so then you won't hold on to it at all. So that's Bashar's motivational mechanism on why we self-sabotage. So it's
Go
all
Bashar.
I know, right? I love him. My dream. Mark and I were talking yesterday morning, and we were saying like someone won the $70 million lottery like
Oh
yesterday, a
yeah, yeah,
Victorian,
yeah.
and Mark was like, "Oh, what would you do?" And I said, "Oh my God, I would go to Sedona and I would like go and see Bashar. That would be one of my things that I would do, and I'd take you
Yeah.
with me, Wilsey. I would take you with me."
Excellent.
Um, but yeah,
Field trip.
oh yeah, I love it. I love it. But yeah,
Coming
that's
to your life from Sedona. Yeah.
so yeah, so I have been a big like self-saboteur when it comes
Yeah.
to weight. Because
Yeah.
I've had gastric sleeve surgery, I've been very open about that. And diving like knowing this now and me really reflecting around like what it is and I still battle with it. Like I'm still not as thin as what I should be and I still battle with it. And it's like, so what do I get out of being thin or being bigger? And one of like when I really dive into it, it's like it's an identity that I feel I'm not ready to fully embrace yet, is which is someone who is healthy, is disciplined. That word hit. Disciplined. I don't feel like I'm disciplined enough to be that person. There's an element of rebellion in there as well. It's like, well, yeah, I'm going to have the chocolate chip biscuit. What are you going to do about it? So, yeah, so there's an element of rebellion in there as well. But yeah, it's like who do I need to be to choose the apple every time? And it's someone who is responsible for their own health, for someone who is disciplined. And that frightens me because I feel like I can't go back. But if I delved into that a little bit deeper, I'd be like, well, I've still got wiggle room. I've still got, well, like Tonya said, it's like, it's not like I don't ever get to eat a pizza again. Like it's just more, it's consistency over
Mm.
perfectionism. So if I can be consistent, then that's going to be enough. So,
I
can
mean,
I
just
say,
imagine if you switched out one crappy food item a day to a good food item a day, just
mm,
one good choice a day. Imagine over a year if you piled up all the cookies or cake or
mm,
lollies or chocolate or whatever over here, and you put all the fruit or good protein snacks or what have you over here, and you go,
mm,
okay, what am I going to choose for one snack a day for a year? And you look
mm,
at the big picture rather than just,
mm,
well, it's a cookie or it's an apple, like,
yeah,
but when you see when you put it into a year's quantity
mm,
and see where that's going to get you, it's kind of an easy choice.
yeah, yeah. But as I say, logically, easy choice,
Yeah. Yeah.
5%. That
Logically. Yes.
95% is like going, no, I'd want to eat what I want to eat because I have done the dieting thing before and that sucked. I felt like it was no fun. And so I'm going to rebel against it, da 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 da. So yeah, it's interesting, and it comes down to values. It comes down to who it is that you need to be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
characteristics do you need to embrace to
Mm-hmm.
become the person you need to be, and are you ready for that? If your fear of becoming that person is greater than your willingness to become that person,
Mm-hmm.
fear is going to win every single time. And that is
Yes,
the
because
key element of
that's
shadow
what
work.
keeps us safe. Yep.
Yep. Yep. And that's the key element of shadow work is willingness, that fight between willingness and fear. If your fear is greater than your willingness, then fear is always going to win. If your willingness is greater than your fear, then willingness is always going to win.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
heard something too the other day that kind of, I'm still processing it because, but it just fits in beautifully to what we're saying here. Excuse me. So we've said it before about um, the opposite to love is fear. Like
Yep.
we, when you do opposites when you're a kid at school, it's like love and hate, right? But
Mm,
it's fear because everything comes back to a fear-based thing. So
mhm,
I think it's since been shown and studied and researched and proven that the opposite to love is fear now. So,
mhm,
and when we think of fear, it's where we make our judgments from. Our
mhm,
judgments are a fear-based response. So
mhm.
when we see someone who looks different to us, because it's a fear-based judgment that we make about them because it's an unknown thing. It's
Yeah.
part of that
Uncertainty. Yeah.
uncertainty. Back to the pathways in the jungle.
Hmm.
It's but when we are making judgment, there's no room for love.
Mm.
So if we're judging someone,
Hmm.
it's a fear-based response, and there's no room for love in there because you're at the other end of the spectrum. If you've got love up
Mm.
one end and fear up the other end, your judgment comes from the fear end.
Hmm.
So when we and I've used this like when someone's driving and cuts you off and you make, oh, you idiot, and that's coming from judgment. What if they're late? What if they've just found out their mother's died and they're on their way to the hospital to get there as quick as they can? Like,
Yeah.
when I start applying love based responses to that, going, oh, come in, obviously this means a lot to you, and
Yeah.
I'm fine. I don't mind if you get in front of me,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Like
so
that's
when you
it's three
allow the
seconds out of
love
my day.
in,
Yeah.
when you allow the love in, it
Yeah.
takes away the judgment.
Mm. I love that. And if
Yeah.
we can just up level that too, Millsy, like judgment of yourself
Yes.
and love of yourself as well. So
Yeah.
if you are choosing the cookie and then you're judging yourself for choosing the cookie and then you're beating yourself up, there's not going to be, you can't shit talk yourself into being a better person. It
Mm.
can only be through love. So coming at that place of understanding, okay, so I'm choosing this. So, some people will say, oh, it's a habit. I just grab the cookie and I don't even think about it, kind of thing.
Mm.
But a habit is just a habit until you have conscious awareness of it, then
Yeah.
it becomes a choice. And so
Correct.
once you're aware that you're carving the cookie, then you're choosing the cookie. So, but not coming from a place of judgment, coming from a place of gentle curiosity and going, why am I going for the cookie here? So what am I afraid will happen if I don't have this cookie? Or what am I afraid will happen if I make a healthier choice? If I become the person who I want to be, what am I afraid will happen? And that could be anything. It could be, as you said, like you might not want to attract attention. You might want to stay more invisible. You might not want to be noticed. You might be afraid of judgment around what other people will think of you. Oh, you're going to become one of those gym junkies, are you? Oh, God, like, is this all we're going to
Mm.
hear about now? Like, so it could be that fear of judgment. There might be like a certain friend group that you have that are all a little bit overweight and you all get together every Saturday and you have your coffee and your cake and you bitch about your weight. And so if you become fit and healthy, you might not belong to that friend group anymore. So that might be something that you're fearful of.
Mm.
Um, your partner. may be a bit overweight themselves, and you might be afraid that the connection might be gone if you become fit and healthy and they stay where they are. So it could be any number of
There's
things.
so many reasons we get to the reason why our subconscious is 95% is doing a lot of work back there.
Mm,
It's working hard to talk you out of whatever you're doing.
yeah, yeah. If
Yeah,
it believes that what you are aiming for is going to put you
yeah,
into pain,
yeah.
and that pain is that fear base, those four big fears, which are fear of not belonging, fear of not being enough, fear of not being loved, fear of being judged, and fear of not being able to handle it if any of those things happen.
Mm,
That's what
mm,
it all comes down to. So, yeah. So, another example that Tonya was saying is like, you're wanting a loving relationship, but you start picking fights. Like, what's that all about? And it could be
mm,
because disruption. If we look at it through the lens of the six core human needs, like Tony Robbins' six core human needs, the first four, which is certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, and significance and importance. Those are the four main needs that our ego needs, and growth and connection are our spiritual needs. So if we look at it through the lens of those four things, maybe as a child, so if you're picking fights with your partner, even though you want a loving, connected relationship, if you're picking fights with your partner, it could be because you viewed connection and love as nitpicking if your parents were ones that were nitpicked. Or maybe they actually were just really passive and you want it to be more passionate, so you'll nitpick and you'll create drama to have that passion in the relationship, but you're doing it in like a really unresourceful way.
mm.
Or maybe if it's something that you're familiar with, so like every relationship that you see, there's always arguments and tension in it. You'll create that because you think that that's what a loving connection looks like. And so there's
Because we
certain
go for familiarity every time. If we
exactly.
grew up in a bit of a chaotic household,
Hmm.
we're probably that's going to be our baseline. That's our
Absolutely.
familiarity. So we're going to
Yeah.
seek that because that's normal.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
if you think that your relationship's really boring, you might poke the beast to create that uncertainty, that need for uncertainty, that need for adventure, that need for a little bit of
Mm,
spice. So there's lots of reasons why you'd be doing it, but it's about finding it in a resourceful way as opposed to an unresourceful way, which is self-sabotage. But
right.
looking at it in a more resourceful way as
Yeah.
opposed to let's go on a trip together, let's do something exciting together.
Mm,
And then you get into all the needs of like, I have a need for this, and if your partner can't meet it, well then there's a whole other rabbit hole that we could go down there.
right.
But yeah, so yeah, that would be the reason why there's a need that's
Yeah.
not being met there, and you'll be doing it in an unresourceful way and
That's it.
sabotaging it.
It's like when I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago when we were talking about parenting, like our children they want their attention bucket filled. And if
Mm,
they don't get positive attention, they'll seek it in negative ways because
mm,
one way or another, they're going to find a way to get that attention bucket filled.
yeah.
So maybe we're doing the same thing with our partner. We're craving their love and attention, and they
Mm-hmm,
might be a bit oblivious.
mm-hmm,
And so we start picking a fight instead because one way or another, it gets their attention.
exactly. Yeah.
So there's, yeah,
Yeah, and it gets that need of connection met, or that need
yes,
of uncertainty and excitement met. It'll be meeting some need, one of
yes.
those four needs on some level. But once you know that framework of the four core human needs, or the four out of the six, you can go, right, what need am I getting met here? Like before I did all this work and the kids were toddlers, I would be a moody cow. I would be like, hubby would want to do something on the weekend, and I'd be like, no, you can't, you've got to stay home, and like throwing my weight around
Yeah.
and like being moody. And little did I know that I was getting my need for significance and importance met through that, because people had to tiptoe around me. They were walking on eggshells. They were like checking in with me to see if this was okay. And that made me feel significant and important. So I was getting that need met, but in a really shitty way that made everyone around me feel like crap as well.
Mm,
Whereas if I had actually recognized what I was feeling, processed my own emotions, and gave myself that significance and importance of what I want and what I need is important, then I
mm.
wouldn't have had to seek it through the ways that I was. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
See, that's all a strategy, like you said. It's
everything's strategy. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And we're
But while
choosing.
there's when gone.
So we're choosing the safe
Yeah.
problem, but
Yes.
what is the risky one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very-
And so just that whole spectrum of love and fear up at opposite ends of the spectrum. At the fear end is judgment, and at the love end is curiosity.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So love and curiosity go hand in hand, and fear
Yeah.
and judgment go hand in hand. So they work out when you're in the middle of something and you're going, what's going on here? Go, am I doing this with curiosity, or am I doing this with judgment? Or am I doing this with love, or am I doing this with fear? Like just pause for a second and go, okay, what's the driving force of whatever that response was that you had? Why did I pick one thing over another? Or why have I picked a fight? Or whatever it is. Ask yourself, maybe of those four things, love, fear, curiosity, judgment, which who was leading that emotion, or
Mm,
that response? It might
yeah.
give you a bit of
Yeah.
insight.
Yeah. And then asking yourself why as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, like, it's meeting some need. It's
Yeah.
and it'll be a shadow need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
do you reckon we've answered that? What do you
I
reckon?
feel so, and just I guess to put a bow on it, that's what Kez and I do. We help people through this stuff. So obviously this has been very generalized, but
Mm,
if something's hit that we've been talking about, going, oh my God, I do that and I didn't even realize, and you've had one of these aha moments, book in for a session, guys. This is
yeah.
what we do. We love nothing more than clearing away some of the shitty shadows
Mm-hmm.
to help you live a more aligned life. That's what we want
Yes.
you all to do. We want
Yep.
that for you. Yeah.
And when like, and it's all very well to like do this stuff yourself and journal it, and but I was just talking to Millsy before the session started, is I had a one-on-one session with Andrew Pierce, who was like my shadow work mentor teacher, who I'm doing my advanced prac with. And I did a one-on-one session with him as a coaching demonstration last night. And I have been diving to the bottom of my money issues for a long time now, but him just asking the questions and being able to see what are in my blind spots, like when someone is there and is able to reflect back to you what you're saying, but can see the bigger picture, because sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees because we're in it. But when you've got someone from the outside looking in and going, well, that obviously this is the problem here, but you can't see it, like they're hugely transformational when you've got someone who can see the patterns and just go, well, there's the problem, and then lead you to it so you can explore it yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like I was so blinded by my blind spots that he actually, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. And so he had to sort of give me a few key words, and I sort of had to say them back. And I'm like, oh, that's the word that hits. And you feel it somatically, like in
Resonates.
your
Yeah.
body when it hits. It's like that's the thing. That's the thing there. And yeah, there's so much power in it. And when you pull out like one weed, you get a few more weeds coming out with it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
huge last night.
Yeah.
Can we just pause for a moment? I just got someone at the front door. I just heard my doorbell go. Excellent. So apologies for that. That was the lady who walks her dogs. So yeah, do you reckon we've wrapped that up? What do you reckon, Milsey?
Yeah. So I guess the way we view these podcasts, it's like a group coaching session, right? But
Mm,
you
mm,
do get a lot out of a group coaching session for sure,
mhm.
but personalized, bespoke for you is always going to hit differently. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
if we've mentioned anything that resonates, or it's brought an awareness to something that you might be self-sabotaging and didn't even realize it,
Hmm.
that's your cue to investigate that further, whether you do that yourself through meditation, journaling,
Hmm.
talking to people, or whether you want a more deeper approach with a coach.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you?
We're definitely like, I
Yeah.
mean, you can talk about it to your friends and that helps to validate your experience, but it doesn't actually give you the tools to be able to work through it as well. So
Mm.
I've actually got a program coming up, Millsy, which I don't think I've spoken to you about, but it's coming up in July. I'm doing a paid masterclass on the 24th, which is called What is My Purpose? And it is getting right into the nits and the grits around why we are here, what we are here to do, and how to do it, and then introducing, some of the shadow, like introducing human design and shadow work together because
Beautiful.
they pair together really, really well.
Yeah.
So it is a paid masterclass. It's $49, but included in the hour and a half long masterclass, I'm going to be dropping in like a 15, 20-minute video into your PMs on your individual human design, your purpose through your incarnation cross, and the shadows that are going to show up within your human design. So I'm going to be
Amazing.
giving you that as well. So that's $49. So I charge $200 an hour. So $49, I thought, well, that's like roughly 15 minutes worth. Plus you get the masterclass on top, which is actually going to freaking blow your mind. Like it's all about, yeah, why are we here? The eternal, what's our purpose?
Right.
It's going to answer that. And then that's going to lead into a paid program. It's going to be 12 weeks and it's going to be called Power, Purpose, and Potholes. So it's going to be how to tap into your purpose, tap into your power, and not avoid the potholes, but maybe work through the potholes. If you find yourself in a pothole, how to climb your way back out of the pothole again. So it's going to
Nice.
be all about, yeah, what prevents you from getting what it is that you want, what stops you from following your purpose. So it's
Amazing.
basically a big old self-sabotage like
Yeah, right.
program, pretty much. But yeah, it will give you the tools to be able to move through what is stopping you from following the purpose, from following the thing that we are here to do. So it's going to be friggin' amazing. It's going to be starting end of July. So if you're interested in either one of those two things, I'll pop it in I'll send it to you, Millsy, the links
Yeah.
to join.
And we'll put it in the show notes.
Notes
Perfect.
as well. Yeah, if you want to join the masterclass, which is on the 24th, or the program, just register your interest and I'll make sure that you stay in the loop for all of the updates and things because there's going to be 3 different levels to be able to join in the program. So there's going to be the group program on its own. There's going to be group program plus VIP, which is the group program plus 6 one-on-one sessions with me. And then there's going to be the group program plus VIP HD, which is you get 3 full human design readings as well, all at
Amazing.
different price increments. But it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really, really cool stuff.
Amazing. All right. Shall we leave it at that? Hopefully
I
that's
think
helped and opened up some more awareness for you all.
absolutely. All
Yeah.
right then. Bye. Love
Okay.
her.
See you next week.
Bye bye.